Today I was asked to talk a little bit about what we are doing as the Minister of Foreign Affairs regarding the Cyprus issue, the latest developments, and try to answer some of the questions that interest the British society who reside in North Cyprus. And I'll try to be brief and concise about both of those and maybe leave time for questions as well. Dear friends, first of all, let me pass the most sincere greetings of Mr. Prime Minister Yorgan Cioğlu. The current government is extremely interested in establishing closer dialogue with the British society here, living in North Cyprus. We are actively engaged in finding ways to accommodate ways in which you can have a more pleasant stay in North Cyprus. The Minister of Interior is actively working on issues that have been already raised with them, and some of which we can touch upon a bit further on. But first, let me brief you a little bit about the latest state of play regarding the Cyprus negotiations, which is my main area of responsibility. We are working very closely with President Erdoğan to have progress at the negotiating table. As you must be following from the media, the two leaders have initiated a new round of talks after their joint statement of 11 February this year. This joint statement has been widely welcomed, not only by the international community, but also by both communities on the island. In fact, trade unions, businessmen associations, and even for the first time in our history, religious leaders have joined in welcoming this joint text, and we are extremely pleased about it. Those of you who have read the text have seen that the text not only reconfirms some of the well-known basic parameters regarding the solution of the Cyprus issue, namely that we are striving to achieve a bizonal, bicommunal federation with political equality, but it also deals with very sensitive issues like single sovereignty, international personality, citizenship. It further talks about the concept of internal citizenship to regulate political rights at constituent state level. It talks about the fact that neither side may claim authority or jurisdiction over the other. And it also says that United Cyprus is going to be a member of UN and the European Union, and the principles upon which the European Union is founded, as well as the bizonal, bicommunal nature of the federation, will be safeguarded throughout the island. So these are very important concepts which were debated very hotly in previous rounds of talks. And it's a welcome development that at the early stages, at the initial stage of the talks, some of these controversial issues have been successfully dealt with. Now, what we are looking forward now is an intensive period of talks between the leaders and their negotiators. The Turkish side aims to finish and wrap it up before the end of the year. President Erdoğan made various statements to that effect. For that, we think the past body of work that has already been created must be used effectively. It is a cause of concern for us that our Greek Cypriot counterparts currently refuse to meet more often, and they refuse to officially use the past convergences as basis for further discussion. So these are currently causing delays. However, we don't think these are insurmountable problems. United Nations is involved, Americans are involved, and of course Britain is involved. And we are actively trying to find ways to move the process faster so that we deliver concrete results as soon as possible. In the meantime, European Union is showing a greater interest. You may have followed that the Commissioner in charge of enlargement, Stefan Füle, was on our island. He had meetings with both sides. We had a bilateral meeting with him also as the Minister of Foreign Affairs. And primarily we talked about two main points. One, how will EU help the negotiating process led by the leaders under UN umbrella? But second track was how are we going to adopt and implement EU law in North Cyprus prior to a settlement, so that when settlement comes, our institutions, our bureaucracy is ready to fulfill the obligations that is going to derive from being an EU member state. So we decided to step up our efforts to help Turkish Cypriot community and our institutions be better prepared for the adoption of the acquis. And in the coming days, much more work will be done. Already, we have passed around 70 pieces of primary and secondary legislation in our parliament in order to help Turkish Cypriot side towards implementation of the acquis. This is ranging from electronics to environment to animal husbandry, what have you, but much work will be done. With that, let me also touch very briefly upon the issues regarding the British society here. I have been informed that primarily there are issues regarding your residency rights. This 40-day limit is causing a great number of problems. Before arriving here, I've talked with the Minister of Foreign Affairs again, and I have been informed that the ministry is towards the final stage of submitting to the Parliament a new piece of legislation which will change this law that causes great many problems to residents here. The end result will be that this 40-day limit per year will be removed and will be substituted by another criteria whereby the limit will be 200 days within 5 years. So one may leave the country for 100 days 1 year, but maybe choose to leave only 10 days in another year. So what will count will be the total sum within 5 years. Another issue that was brought to my attention was regarding the property issues. Again, that's work in progress, but the government is seriously considering ways of facilitating property ownership, especially for those who have retired and chose to spend their retirement in North Cyprus and decides to buy property here. The bureaucracy will be greatly facilitated. The Ministry of Interior is also in the process of establishing a center whereby bureaucrats who are very fluent in the English language will be able to work and assist you, and this is going to be a one-stop shop whereby you will be able to address your issues directly to that particular office, and they will try to assist you with various governmental departments. So with that, I would like to conclude my remarks and open the floor for your questions if you have any. And again, please express the sincere wish of the current government to assist you and to do anything in our power to make your stay and residence in North Cyprus as pleasant as possible. Thank you very much.
So, is there any chance that the GRNC government takes the view that these talks with the enemy will stop and that the GRNC demands recognition instead of having these negotiations, so that the GRNC can negotiate being a recognized republic rather than being another entity or just a territory?
Well, we don't see our Greek Cypriot counterparts as enemy. I mean, that's a thing of the past. We're in the process of peace, reconciliation, establishing a new partnership. Right now, the talks held under the UN has one clear goal, and that's to establish a federal united Cyprus, which is a member of EU. Of course, it takes two to tango. We have been kept in this process for almost 50 years now. The other day, my ministry organized a photo exhibition commemorating 50 years of UN peacekeeping forces in Cyprus. And the title was 50 Years is Enough. Of course, we will be engaged in this process in good faith, but if there is a second no from the Greek Cypriot part, then of course all interested parties will have to sit around the table and think of alternative ways of looking at the Cyprus issue. But today, of course, the focus is on the UN-led talks and establishing a federal settlement.
Can I ask a question, Minister? Two questions, really. First is, I think you told me that you were going to aim to do away with medical testing for British nationals, one. Two, the permission to purchase issue. Could you really elaborate more on that? Because you did to me. Thank you.
As I have said, that's a work in progress. Just before arriving to this meeting, I had one final chat with Minister of Foreign Affairs. Mehmet Bashel, maybe that name resonates with you. Some of you may have known him. He is looking into this. He's leading the team that is looking into this. And I can't go into specifics, but the final result will be such that things will be smoother, less problem-free, less time-consuming. The main idea is to allow a much rapid format for British citizens here to purchase property without the current, most of the current bureaucracy. But I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to discuss the details now.
Can I just ask, if we become part of the EU, then the right to work changes, doesn't it?
Right, exactly. And of course, the acquis communautaire is suspended in the north, and there will be transitional periods. So these will be tackled at the negotiating table, whether from day one we will have the full application of the acquis regarding residency rights and work permits, or there will be a transitional period. But the final goal will be, of course, EU law will apply all over the island, whether sooner or later. Thank you, and maybe with that we will finish off, but my presence here today demonstrates our determination to tackle these problems head-on. I did not come here with full answers to your problems, but I came here with full information of the Prime Minister and the relevant ministers to give you the message that these issues are being taken up at the highest level. People are working on it. We've been in government for a little more than half a year now, but I'm confident that soon we will start giving you good news. It won't be a big bang, which solves everything within a single go, but step by step, I think you will see that things are getting better and better, and you can be sure that we don't want you to leave. We want you to stay here, enjoy. We see you as our integral part of our society, a very, very much valued part of our society. It's part of our culture. Your presence is here. It's part of our culture, and we value it very, very much. And today I'm just going to give you the firm message that we are actively engaged, and hopefully in our next encounter I'll be able to give you much more positive news. So thank you very much.